go, "Hey you, look at this. A magnificent invention, right? There could be nothing wrong about a laptop." Wrong. Did you know that this piece of technology came from a process that is horrible for the environment and terrible working conditions? We're here to educate you about where this piece of technology came from and why the process should be fixed.
Let's start right at the beginning of its life cycle, the material extraction. In order to create a laptop, you must gather the metals and other materials, things like iron or gold. But mining is an activity that can cause great problems to the environment, whether it's erosion, biodiversity loss, or contamination. When mining, you're subjecting new ground and new rocks to air and moisture, which can slowly erode the ground over time, which presents some hazards for the community. Mining directly emits tons of carbon in the atmosphere, which can affect animal and plant life, which will negatively affect biodiversity. Another thing that will affect the biosphere is air and water contamination. Mining will affect the air quality in the area, which again harms our lungs and may drive off animal life. Toxic minerals and materials that are mined and produced in the process may potentially leach into the ground and soil. That means the soil will be polluted with poisonous metals that will kill off plenty of plant life and insects inside the soil. Toxic materials may also leach into groundwater, which will then contaminate water supplies and sources, which is of course pretty horrible. Let's have a word with the workers behind a mining project near our studio.
Hello there. How was your day today?
My life's an agonizing pain, thank you very much.
That's great to hear. Now, how is the working environment at Totally Real Mining Company?
Honestly, it's pretty terrible. The boss treats all of us here with disrespect all the time, and the pay is garbage. But I have to keep working to make a living. I mean, it's great. It's great. Everything here is great. The boss is super nice. I got a great pay, and it's fun all around.
I see. How do you feel about your work's impact on the environment? We know that mining is a huge process that releases tons and tons of carbon dioxide. How might it affect the earth?
Carbon dioxide's horrible with the environment. Things like global warming, climate change. Carbon dioxide in the air traps the heat from the sun and emits it right back down to the earth, which causes global warming. And that really negatively impacts biodiversity and affects the air we all breathe. And also on a side note, we here at Totally Real Mining Company suffer from toxic fumes all the time. I have stage 3 lung cancer.
Ah, very interesting. Now, on to our final question. What would you change about your work life, and how would you possibly fix or prevent damage to the environment that may come to mining?
Honestly, I wish they could make it a little safer for us workers. We're constantly put in danger with the potential risk of cave-ins, and we could be breathing in toxic fumes, rock dust, all those horrible things all the time. Oh, and we need to do it away from areas with water, so we can keep water contamination to a low amount, so I can actually drink some safe water. Actually, we just need preventive measures all around to keep contamination from happening, so it's good for the environment.
Great idea, sir. Thank you so much for being on this interview. It was a great pleasure to learn about the truths behind mining and the damage it can cause.
Always happy to help, sir.
Get back to work! You're paying your time back for a reason.
I'm sorry. Well, what have we learned? The job of mining can be a daunting task, and people are constantly put in danger by the toxic fumes and the looming danger of cave-ins. Without the proper safety measure in places, mining will cause a horrible damage to the environment. It really makes you think, is the laptop you hold in your hands really worth what many people on the earth have to go through to create it? There's so many other things to talk about, like the huge amount of CO2 manufacturing a laptop produces, and the huge amount of resources it consumes. But those are a whole other thing for another day. We instead need to focus on one thing, making sure mining companies treat their workers and the world with their utmost respect.
We must protest. So why don't you join us and fight against the poor practices that mining companies put many people through and stop the ecosystem from getting worse than it already has been these past few years. Thank you all so much for watching to the end. And be sure to fight for a change.
But make sure it's on climate change.